So it's been a couple of months, I think 3 months, since I've done a video update. So I wanted to jump on and update you on my MKAL, my Stephen West MKAL, the Twists and Turns. Last time I updated you, my dog had snipped at me, bit my finger, which was this one. It's all healed now, so I've been knitting. I am almost done with Clue 2. I haven't been knitting as much as I would like, because I also started a new job at the end of October, so you know, working full-time and everything is limiting my knitting time. That and hockey season, you know, there have been a couple of weekends at least where the whole weekend has been hockey, so that cuts into knitting time too. But here is my MKAL. Let me just move this needle and let's get it the right way. Okay, so this is section 1 in the middle, and then we've got on the sides, you can see the accent color has come into play now. And over on this side, that is also done. And then the last part of this clue, I've got to pick up stitches here going back to my contrast color, the light color. And so I'll be picking up stitches along here all the way to here, and then knitting the next section. So I'm going to be working on that today. Went to the bookstore today and picked up the Vogue Knitting Project Journal. Super excited about it, actually. I want to do some planning for this year, so what I am going to do is, under project number 1, I'm going to put my Stephen West MKAL. Even though I started it last year, I won't be finishing it till this year, so I'm going to use this for all the projects that I knit this year, and try and kind of stay on track, because I do have a habit. I have at least one more whip right now here with me in the States. You know, we've moved from Germany in August and we still don't have our household goods, so I know I have some more whips coming. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna fill this out. You can see there's a name for your project, the designer, who you made it for, when you started it, when you finished it. Bruno, get out of there. Sorry, the dog's in the garbage. Bruno, leave it. He's been kind of a brat lately. Anyways, all the deets you can put in here, your yarn, your needles, notions, gauge, measurements, and then they have graph paper. If you were planning your own design, you could draw a picture of it here. And then on the next page, it's just dots for you to take any notes you want. So if you made modifications, or you know, any kind of note about the pattern you want to have. And then when you go to the next page, you're at page 2, or project 2. This little journal has room for 25 projects, and I know I won't finish 25 projects this year, so it's plenty big enough for me. They have a little thing in here, how to draw schematics, in case you are designing your own project, so you can see here how they used the graph paper. There are some other handy things in here too. They have design tips. Let's see, this is just how to use the journal. They give you some ideas. And then we get past all 25 projects. And once you get past the project pages, then you have graph paper. They tell you what some of the common symbols are, what the cable symbols are, and then there's several pages of graph paper. So if you were charting a project, you could do that in here. I don't see myself designing anything, but it's nice that this is in here in case some, you know, I ended up deciding to. Then they have the Vogue Knitting Color Work paper. And I don't know if I've shared this yet, but I am doing the Color My Cowl by Stacey Perry, and there is a coloring sheet for that, so you can color in what colors you want to use to kind of get an idea of how it's going to look when it's knitted up. And so they have, you can see they all look like little knit stitches. for you to color in. So if you were knitting something that had some sort of design or motif, you could color it on here to see how your colors looked. And there are several pages of that. When you get past the color work pages, there's some really just useful information. So standard body measurements, they have women, women plus, men and children sizes, and also youth sizes. Then standard hand measurements are next. And again, that is split up from child 2 to 4 years to men's large. So you have your standard measurements there. Standard foot measurements for making socks. Standard head measurements for knitting hats. Taking body measurements, they tell you how to take your body measurements. They even have a little diagram here to show you where to measure. And then on the next page, recorded body measurements. And they have, as you can see, several places. So you can record your body measurements, your family, whoever you're going to be knitting for, or if you don't knit garments for people, you could always just use them for yourself, because you've got name and date. So, you know, if you were in the process of losing weight, say, you would have your current measurements, and then once you lost the weight you were trying to lose, you would retake your measurements, so you had accurate measurements. So that section I liked. They then have yardage estimates. So divided again by who you're knitting for, and then what you're knitting. Sweaters, hats, socks, mittens. Over here we have baby blankets, regular blankets, scarves, shawls, and it's just estimating how many yards you would need for the weight yarn that you're using. So that's kind of helpful. Then they have the standard weight system for yarn. So this can come in really handy if you have those yarns in your stash like I do, where you purchased it, you had it wound into a cake at the yarn shop, and somehow you lost the tag, so you don't know, you know, what that is. You can take a look in here, and it tells you the knitting gauge for the different types of yarn, so you could figure that out that way. You could do the wraps per inch, which I was looking to see if they said on here. I guess in the book it doesn't tell you wraps per inch, but that is something you can find online. The other thing they have is the needle inventory, which I really like. Down here for circular needles, you have a ton of spaces. So if you have fixed circulars, you know, you could, like this column is, each column is a different needle size, and then if you had several sets of, you know, size 6 circular needles, you could write in, because the space is big enough, you could write in the length of the cord for each set that you had. I do have some fixed circulars, but mostly I have interchangeable sets, so, but still very useful for logging your needles. And then the very last page is just common abbreviations, and then you have a couple more of the coloring pages. So a nice little journal. I'm gonna plan out my next project after my MKAL, even though I do still have 2 more clues to knit after I finish this one. I really want to be more organized with my knitting this year and planning things out. So yeah, I will be keeping this with me with my knitting bag whenever I am bringing my knitting along somewhere, because I think it's great that you can take notes on the project. So yeah, just kind of a neat little thing. And I'm going to be setting some knitting goals for myself. I want to, for instance, Monday through Friday, knit 1 row before I go to bed each night. So it's only 1 row. It's not going to take that long. And if it was, you know, like say it was straight garter stitch, then I might knit more than just 1. And then on the weekends, I plan on scheduling knitting time. So, you know, from this time to this time is gonna be my knitting time, and I'll knit as many rows as I can get done. And I'm doing it that way instead of picking a number of rows, because, you know, you might have pattern that is all knit rows for a section, which goes by, you know, much quicker than if you're following a lace pattern, at least for me. So if I just have that set time and I you know, use that time, then I'll at least be making progress on my projects. I would like to finish one project a month, but January is already almost over and I'm nowhere near being finished with my Twists and Turns shawl, so that will probably be finished the first week or so of February, and then I will start my next project, and we'll just see how fast that goes. So I will try and jump on here more often and let you guys know what I'm working on, and share how I'm using the journal and project updates. So I will see you all hopefully in a week or so.